I wanted to share with you today how God gave me an answer that changed my life. It was like He opened up a whole new world for me. Okay, I had been going through many days, several days of just when I tried to make contact with God or whatever, it was like a blank mind. It's like I didn't know how. It's like I had forgotten how just to rest in His presence and just to, I don't know, I was maybe stuck, all right? And then all of a sudden I was closing my eyes, trying to relate to Him when He broke through. And He broke through by giving me an illustration. I guess you could call it a vision. I don't know. And it was all right, I have to give you a little bit of a background from the Bible to explain, because He used a Bible reference to explain to me. And in the Old Testament, in the Jewish, when it talks about Jewish history and things like that, in the Bible, it talks about a place called the Holy of Holies. That was a place that only the high priest would go in once a year to communicate with God. And it was such a fearful thing that they would tie a rope around the priest's leg just in case, and I think he wore a bell. I'm not sure if they stopped hearing the bell. The bell was attached to his clothes or saying, if I'm getting this wrong, please forgive me. I'm just trying to explain. Okay, and if they stopped hearing the bell that was attached to his clothes and meant that he would stop moving around, that meant that something bad had happened to him. And the other people didn't dare go in to get him, and so they had a rope tied around his leg so they would pull him out so nobody else would die when they tried to retrieve him. Okay, anyway, that was the Holy of Holies. But then in the Bible it tells us that when Jesus died on the cross, the veil that was the barrier to the Holy of Holies was torn from the top to the bottom. That meant and it was a thick veil, I think. Sorry if I'm getting it wrong, but anyway, it was very thick, I'm told. And it was torn from the top to the bottom. That meant that God Himself tore it, so that when Jesus died on the cross and then later rose from the dead, it meant that everybody had easy access. Anybody could go in now to the place of the Holy of Holies and commune with God. Okay, so that's the background. So then my vision, or the illustration that God gave me that changed my life and opened up a whole new world, was all of a sudden I saw myself. Sorry, if I always, when I'm trying to express a vision to people, it's like I end up closing my eyes and relive it, and I become all like probably crazy when I tell it, because it's a very emotional thing for me. So just please excuse me when I try to relate this to you, okay? All right, so I saw myself walking into the Holy of Holies. And immediately in there, now of course I don't know what it looks like in reality. I only know what I've read, but so it wasn't a matter of, it was just a symbolic thing of me going in. It wasn't a matter of I saw everything like it really is. Okay, you know what I mean. Sorry. Okay. So I go in to the Holy of Holies, and the first thing I'm aware of my whole being is being touched by the presence of God. It's like, for example, in this day, in this world, if something foreign hit your skin, like acid, let's say, that's a bad example, but let's say acid, immediately your skin would be affected, right? Your whole being would be affected by the touch of that substance. But this is a positive thing, not a negative thing like acid. Well, anyway, so I go in there, and all of a sudden, my whole being is being just completely touched by the presence of God. And then the next thing I saw was a scene from Mary Poppins, the movie Mary Poppins, when everybody is, when the children and Mary Poppins and Bert are all sucked up the chimney, right? So all of a sudden, it's like I'm in here experiencing his presence, and then I'm sucked up into heaven. And it's like I just knew that in heaven anything's possible. Anything is possible. And it just so happened that right before this, I had been wanting to pray for this young girl who had needed emotional healing, spiritual emotional healing, this young adult that I know. And she had been on my heart right before God gave me this illustration. So here I am, first experiencing his presence, then sucked up. And then here I am in the wide open heaven where anything's possible. And all I wanted in those seconds, all I wanted was for her, this girl that was on my heart, to experience everything that I was experiencing. And it's like I just wanted to scoop up what I was experiencing and just put it into her. And then it's like that, everything was over. But what I got from that, I realized that what God gave me is an illustration of intercession. When we want so badly for somebody to experience something good, some touch from God, and we don't even have words. We don't even have words. We just know that we want his love to touch them in the deepest of ways, or that they need a healing, or they need something. It's like in that minute, in that nanosecond that God gave me that experience, I realized it's as easy as that. We have full access to everything that is God, to everything that is good. And that is what intercession is. It is just taking from heaven and bringing it to earth and giving it away to whatever need is there. And I don't know, it just gave me a much easier access into the presence of God. And I pray that if somebody else was going through what I didn't know how to get from here to there, from A to B, from on earth to heaven, I just pray that that God would do for you what he did for me, and just give you that easy access, that you would just know that you go in, when you go into the Holy of Holies, you go in just as you are, with every problem, with every need, messed up, even if you've just messed it up big time. You go in just as you are, and his presence, his very love and presence, just cleanses and transforms and takes you and then sucks you up into heavenly places with him, where all things are possible. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with you. When something good has happened, you want to give it away. Okay, love you guys.